Welcome, I'm Michael Voss, the Dean of Instruction over the Applied Science and Technology, Business, CIS, and the Administration of Justice Studies programs. Today we're going to take a little deeper dive into some of the tools that we've created to support student retention using Dropout Detective. I want to provide some of the background of how we made all of this happen. And give you a little bit of a sense of what you could see using the admin portal to get into Dropout Detective. So when you're in it, this is what Dropout Detective looks like. It looks a little bit different than what you see on the faculty course dashboard for Dropout Detective, but it is very similar. Okay, so I'm going to take a step back, and most every semester, the e-learning department sends out some information on how to access Dropout Detective. So here's the most recent email from Laura Ballard. I'm sure that you all saw it. This gives some general background on how to access Dropout Detective as a faculty member from your Canvas shell. Okay, what we're going in today is a little different way to get into Dropout Detective to see dashboards from a viewer or ally status. And what's the difference? Well, faculty members, when they see Dropout Detective, it runs the algorithm just on how well students are doing in a faculty member's course. When you're in the admin portal for Dropout Detective, and if you have viewer or ally rights, then you see the student's risk factor holistically. It's running the algorithm on all the courses that the student is taking that semester, not just a single course from a faculty perspective. So let's move ahead. So in order to understand what you did, I think you need to see a little bit of how we got there. So I'm going to sign into SIS real quick. And there's something called the Advisee Management tool. So I'm going to go into Academic Advisement, Advisee Management tool. Okay, and you can see in here that you can put in all sorts of information to look at some students. So I'm going to put in Mesa Community College, and I'm going to go find a declared major real quick. I'm going to choose this Accounting CCL. And its code is 5665. Okay, I'm going to make a note of that and go back here and go to 5665. And there it is. I'm going to search that up. And what we see here is we see that we have currently 62 students declared in this major. And so this is their academic intent. You can see their GPA, you can see how many credits they've earned so far. You can get various information. If we scroll down, I don't see anything on here, but I can go to the next page. And if they had an assigned advisor, it would list it here. Here's an assigned advisor for that student. You get all sorts of information on these students here. Okay, so I'm going to go out of that. What we did then is the Office of the Deans of Instruction worked with the Office of Institutional Effectiveness to mirror the information that's in that dashboard in Tableau. Tableau runs it much faster. It can pull it all nightly. And so what I'm going to do here is go in and go programs by name, and we were just looking at accounting. So I'm going to choose all but accounting. And lo and behold, the accounting major where we had 62 students over here, we also have 62 students right here in that accounting CCL. So this is a really powerful tool in that we can search by academic department, program name, FOI, whether or not students are currently enrolled. We could search by different academic plans and really get a sense of, of the huge number of students that we have at this institution, which students are pursuing which programs. So we really had to have this dashboard to have the data intelligence so that we could figure out which students were pursuing what programs, and then we had the information we needed to create some really cool dashboards in Dropout Detective. So I'm going to go back to this accounting example one more time. And so in order to create dashboards in Dropout Detective, you have to have student lists and student IDs. So the whole purpose of creating this, the primary use case was to get a student list that we could load into Dropout Detective and then sort and create dashboards. So that's pretty cool. So if I go to the student list view, then I will get information here on all the students in the accounting pathway, and you can actually download this list and sort it however you want. When you download the list, you get all the information from the Advisee Management tool as far as the minimum data sets that were provided here, but you also get some additional information that we've added. We've added the student phone number, basic contact information. So these lists would also be helpful to program leads and program directors if they wanted to make some direct contact with students, either in their retention efforts or in other opportunities that the program may have to offer students. Okay, so now let me go back to this page here. I'll just stick on accounting for a little bit. So here is the programs by name page. This is one of the most popular pages at MCC for students to search up to see what we have to offer. And I'm going to go to the accounting and finance page, and here it is. So on this page you see that we have 2 CCLs in accounting, actually 3 CCLs, and the accounting AAS majors. So that is the total body of work that's related to accounting here, and we have 2 residential faculty who provide stewardship in that area, as well as several FOI advisors. So back on this page, we see that we have the accounting AAS and 2 CCLs. Now that security industry essential CCL is new and no one has declared it yet, and that's why it doesn't show up on here. Okay, close that out. Okay, so now that we have our student list, so we know there's 367 students on a pathway to begin, or they're currently in, or they're working on completing the accounting pathways. What we do is we load that entire student list, all 367 students, into Canvas each semester. So now, not all these students are actively enrolled, right? We're finding about 1/3 of the students are typically enrolled at any given time. But we load them in, and in order to do that, we need to have a spreadsheet that sort of helps the folks in e-learning know what dashboards we need. So here you can see that we have 4 dashboards for all the deans, so we can sort that data on the Tableau majors dashboard for deans. We can sort search it, sort it by department. In this case, we're talking about programs, so this one says to take all the students related to accounting, banking, and finance and load them in Dropout Detective. Assign Andrew Hamilton and Kevin Gates as allies, and then assign other people as viewers. So Andrew and Kevin are the residential faculty in that area, but other people who may have interest are the department chair and department admin, the dean, and then some of the dean of instructions, administrative support, and administrative leadership. So this back-end document is managed between the Office of the Deans of Instruction and e-learning with input from department chairs and faculty in their area as to who should be assigned to what. Okay, so there's about 84 of these program level dashboards assigned out, and then we can get down to the specific majors here and who is all assigned to that. We load, or we note what day we loaded the declared major list. So the declared majors are not uploaded in real time to Dropout Detective. We try to upload them before the start of each semester. Okay, so there's that. And then we're also keeping track of some cohorts. So as we know, the students associated with cohorts, that's another level of organization that we have in Dropout Detective. So let's get into Dropout Detective. So here is my dashboard, and what you can see here is I have access to dean level ones, I have access to 4 department ones, several of the program ones in my area, and we ended up using a little bit of a numeric coding convention so that these would numerically sort. So when you log in, you'll likely have, if you're a program lead, you'll likely have a program level dashboard, like if this was Andrew Hamilton or Kevin Gates. When they log in, they see the accounting, banking, and finance, which shows all the students on all their pathways. And they probably also have some major level ones that show up in their dashboard as well. So they'll see their AAS and their 2 CCLs. There's their AS right there. So those show up next, followed by their 5,000 level ones. So that's pretty cool. So everyone just sees what they need to see. So as a dean, I have access to a lot, really, so that if I'm meeting with a department chair or a program lead, that I could get in and help navigate to their area of interest, and we could discuss, any information that they might want to discuss about their area. Okay, so before we get into the detail of what you can see in here, I want to kind of show some big why stuff. So I mentioned in a previous video that we use Franklin Covey 4 disciplines of execution. I'm going to log into that. There's an actual operating system associated with Franklin Covey. So let me just get logged in real fast. Okay. Okay, so beginning in spring 2023, the whole institution is supposed to be using this 4DX operating system. Now, most of the institution is using it already, but the academic affairs has a little bit more time to get organized this fall and then really use it in the spring. So I've set up my area. And what you can see that I've created is, for my WIG, my wildly important goal is by 2025 to decrease the course withdrawal rate across my departments from 16%, which is what the number was in spring 22, to less than 10%. So we have a few years to get there. You'll also notice that I created some subwigs. I went into the Tableau data and I looked at those populations and areas that had the biggest student success gaps. And in this case, it was the American Indian students moving their student success from 61% to 81%. Black students had a pretty large success gap, as did Hispanic students, and then students attending in the internet modality. Now, these data sets, whether it's looking at the withdrawal rate or success rates, it only updates in Tableau once per semester. Well, once a semester is not really enough in order for us to have a cadence of accountability and to really see who is struggling. So we also loaded a leading measure. Okay, so in this case, we're going to use the Dropout Detective tool, particularly the students listed in high risk, and create a goal around that that's real time this semester, something that we could do something about. So I grabbed the percentage of high risk students in Dropout Detective at my dean level dashboard after the first week of instruction was completed. So that was August 26th. At that point, we were at 18.1% high risk at the end of week 1. And I have a goal to work with our departments and program leads to reduce the number of high risk students to less than 10% by the end of the semester. Okay, so now I've been tracking that information. So let me just share with you how that works. So here in Dropout Detective, I have 141 pages of students. Each page has 20 students on a page. I've basically, that's something from my daughter there. So I have the numbers on another spreadsheet here, but I can click in and see, okay, how many high-risk students do I have? So I have about 36 pages of that. Okay, so going back over here, I've been tracking weekly these numbers. So I have a spreadsheet where I enter in the number of pages plus the last page count. It runs a formula. It tells me how many students I have week to week. So you can see I've had right around 2,700, 2,800 students, and I have a certain number of high-risk students. And what you can see is, I started out at 18.1% high risk. The next week we were at 20.1% high risk, and here in week 3, the end of week 3, we were at 24.6% high risk. So all that data gets carried over to the second tab. So I'm basically tracking it on my dean level dashboard plus my 4 department level dashboards, and what you can generally see is that the risk level is going up and up over the first 3 weeks. Okay, so that's a deeper level overview of Dropout Detective. We'll do one last thing here, I guess. And what can you see when you're in here? So when you click into a student, you basically opens on the overview tab where you see the student's current grade, so you can see why this person is at high risk, the number of zeros they have, and you can actually click on these and see what assignments they got zeros on so far. Okay. If they have any missing assignments, you can click on those. And close that. Okay, so this is a student really in need of some support. Right now they are only passing one of their classes, and that one class that they are passing, they have 9 more missing assignments. You can also see how frequently they are accessing Canvas, and how often they are submitting their work. So if we go into notes, you can see that no one has made any case-based notes yet. You can see their history over time. Their risk level has generally just been going up. The algorithm runs on a nightly basis, and under contacts, we can see that this person here is declared in 3148 the AAS for general business. So that's why Preston Cameron, Richard Toller, and Carrie are on here as allies. They also have, it looks like, some advisors on as allies, so they have lots of allies. And you can also see who the instructors are for those various courses. Oops, let me click back into that. So really that's about it on this dashboard in this video. The next one I'll talk a little bit more about making case-based notes. Thank you, and have a great day.